You close your eyes, the room is dark, the world is quiet, and your brain immediately starts talking. It replays the conversation you had 3 years ago. It worries about something you said this morning. It writes the email you forgot to send. It rehearses arguments with people who aren't in the room. It invents catastrophes that haven't happened yet. You lie there, exhausted, and your mind refuses to stop. Not for a second, not even when you beg it to. This isn't insomnia. This isn't anxiety. This isn't a flaw in you. This is one of the strangest and most revealing things your brain does, and the reason it does it is far older, far stranger, and far more fascinating than you probably realize. Your brain is not malfunctioning when it keeps you awake at night. It is running a program, a very old program, one that was designed long before beds existed, long before houses existed, long before your city existed. And once you understand what that program is actually doing, you will never look at a sleepless night the same way again. Here is the first thing you need to know. Your brain does not treat nighttime the way your body does. Your body wants to rest. Your muscles want to go offline. Your organs want to slow down. But your brain, specifically the part called the default mode network, does the opposite. Neuroscientist Marcus Rachel at Washington University discovered in the early 2000s that this network becomes more active, not less, when you stop focusing on the outside world. The moment external demands stop, your brain shifts into a different gear, a gear that is pointed entirely inward. Rachel called this the brain's resting state, but resting is almost the wrong word for it, because what is actually happening in that state is intensely active. Your brain is scanning, reviewing, cataloging, predicting. It is doing the cognitive equivalent of a nightly audit, going through everything that happened, everything that was left unfinished, and everything that might happen next. Sleep is supposed to follow, but first, the audit has to run. Why does your brain need to run an audit? Think about what your ancestors were doing every single night for the vast majority of human history. They were not in bedrooms. They were not safe. They were lying in the open, or in a shallow cave, or pressed against other bodies in the dark, and the dark was genuinely dangerous. Predators moved at night. Rivals moved at night. Food could be lost by morning. A wound that felt fine at dusk might kill you by dawn. Every night was a gap in your awareness, a period of vulnerability that had real consequences. So your brain evolved a solution. Before you went unconscious, it would run a check. Not a relaxing scan, a threat-focused one. What was unresolved today? What should you have said differently? Who seemed hostile toward you? What resources were low? What might go wrong by morning? This nightly review was not pointless worrying. It was preparation. It was your brain doing the most important work it knew how to do, keeping you alive in a world that was actively trying to kill you. Psychologist Antti Raivansuo at the University of Turku developed what is called the threat simulation theory to explain why so many dreams involve danger, conflict, and social threat. His argument is that dreaming itself evolved specifically to rehearse responses to threats. The mind, even in sleep, was running simulations, testing solutions, preparing for failure. And that process starts before you even fall asleep in the restless, thought-filled minutes and hours before your body finally surrenders. You feel that process as racing thoughts, as mental loops, as the sensation that you cannot turn your mind off. But you are not failing to sleep. You are running a simulation, and the content of that simulation tells you something important about what your brain considers unfinished. Here is where it gets stranger. Your brain does not distinguish between things that are actually dangerous and things that merely feel unfinished. Matthew Walker, neuroscientist and author of years of sleep research at the University of California, Berkeley, has shown that emotionally tagged memories, memories that carry some kind of charge, positive or negative, get prioritized in the brain's nightly review process. If something made you embarrassed, angry, excited, anxious, or hurt today, your brain flags it. It does not matter if that thing was life-threatening or completely trivial. The flag goes up. The loop begins. This is why the thought you cannot stop thinking at night is almost never a neutral one. It is almost never a grocery list. It is the conversation that went sideways. The thing someone said that you didn't respond to the way you wanted. The decision you're not sure you made correctly. The future scenario that might go wrong. Your brain is not haunting you. It is processing emotional charge. It is trying to resolve something it cannot resolve yet. And because it cannot resolve it, it keeps cycling back. Matthew Walker calls this the overnight therapy hypothesis. During REM sleep, the brain replays emotional memories but strips them of the emotional charge. You wake up, and the thing that felt unbearable last night feels manageable in the morning. Not because anything changed, but because your brain processed it. The sleepless loop you experience before falling asleep is, in a dark way, the beginning of that process. Your brain is trying to get to the point where it can let go. It just hasn't got there yet. Now consider what modern life does to this system. For most of human history, when the sun went down, the day ended. There was no more new information coming in, no more decisions to be made, no more social situations to navigate. The day had a hard stop, and your brain could start its audit with a fixed amount of material. Your brain does not have a hard stop anymore. You are receiving information until the moment you close your eyes. You are managing social signals until the moment you put down your phone. You are making micro decisions, what to watch, what to read, what to respond to right up to the edge of sleep. Your brain arrives at the audit with a backlog that it was never evolved to handle. And so the loop runs longer and louder, and it feels like a malfunction. But it isn't. It is an ancient system doing its job in an environment it was never designed for. There is one more layer to this, and it is the layer that most people find hardest to accept. Trying to stop thinking actually makes it worse. Cognitive scientist Daniel Wegner at Harvard spent years studying what he called ironic process theory, the tendency for deliberate attempts to suppress a thought to cause that thought to surface more frequently and more intensely. If you tell yourself not to think about something, a monitoring process in your brain starts scanning for that exact thing to make sure you aren't thinking about it. The monitor finds the thing. You think about it. The loop intensifies. Trying to stop the loop is the thing that keeps the loop going. This is why lying in bed telling yourself to stop thinking is one of the least effective strategies you could possibly choose. Your brain interprets the command as evidence that something still needs to be resolved. The harder you push, the more active the audit becomes. The only thing that actually quiets the loop is not suppression. It is something more counterintuitive. It is engagement, writing it down, saying it out loud, giving the thought somewhere to land outside of your head. The moment the brain believes a thought has been captured, recorded, acknowledged, externalized, the urgency signal drops. The loop gets quieter, not because the problem is solved, but because the brain no longer needs to hold onto it so tightly. Researchers at Baylor University confirmed this in 2018. Participants who spent 5 minutes writing a to-do list before bed, specifically a forward-looking list of things they needed to do tomorrow rather than a review of what happened today, fell asleep significantly faster than those who journaled about past events or did nothing at all. The brain, it turns out, doesn't need resolution. It needs a container. Give your unfinished thoughts somewhere to exist outside your skull, and your brain can stop working so hard to maintain them. You have probably felt this yourself without realizing it. The thought that felt urgent and unsolvable in the dark, at 2 a.m, somehow looked smaller and more manageable when you found a pen and wrote it down. Not because writing changed anything about the problem, because your brain stopped needing to hold it. So here is where you are now. Tonight, when you close your eyes and your mind starts talking, something different is happening than what you thought. You are not broken. You are not anxious in some pathological way. You are not weak. You are running a program that is hundreds of thousands of years old, a program that evolved specifically for this moment, this darkness, this gap in your awareness. Your brain is doing what brains have always done at the end of the day. It is reviewing the territory. It is flagging what feels unresolved. It is preparing you for what comes next. The thoughts you cannot escape at night are not noise. They are data. They are your brain's honest account of what still matters, what still carries weight, what still needs somewhere to land. Tonight, when the room goes quiet and your mind starts talking, you will know exactly what it is doing. And maybe, for the first time, instead of fighting it, you will just give it a pen.